Welcome to Hot Topics in International Trade, brought to you by Bromiller Law Group and Bromiller Consulting Group. Welcome. I'm Bob Brewer with Bromiller Law Group, your host for today. I'm joined by Brandon French. He's the associate attorney with Bromiller Law Group. He's also our resident athlete, by the way. This kid went through college on a golf scholarship?
That's correct, Bob.
Full ride.
Yeah.
Wow. And get this, top pickleball player in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex.
Yep.
Wow. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. I swear we're going to talk about that. But today's topic is going to be Section 301. All right? And this is something, basically, Brandon's been knee-deep in this from the very beginning. So let's do this. Let's do a timeline because it'll kind of give us an idea, everyone out there, as to how you actually fit into the picture here and where we are today.
Right.
It goes without saying that China really hasn't been playing well in the sandbox with the other kids for a pretty long time.
Right.
But I looked back the other day and I thought, wow, before even 2001, when they got admitted to the World Trade Organization, they weren't really doing that well. It was kind of a contentious thing, quite frankly, when they did join. So, but from that day forward, I mean, back then they were at $120 billion in two-way trade with the U.S. Today, and this is my prediction, if we keep up the pace that we're at right now, we're going to be at $700 billion with China in two-way trade. You would think that the two largest economies in the world could just get along.
You would think so, Bob.
All right, so this brings us to basically, all right, picture this. 2017, USTR does an investigation into this. And they come back with, pretty much the conclusion that this just isn't working. Something needs to be done. Trump administration steps in, USTR, and they slap the tariffs on China product imported into the U.S. Wow.
Yeah.
So our phone starts kind of ringing off the wall, and people saying, what am I supposed to do? I'm not going to pass this on to my clients. I need to stay competitive in the market. Now, this is where we get to the lists that subsequently happened. Brandon, the lists, here we go. There are actually 4 of these, right?
Yeah.
All right, so give us the rundown there then.
Yeah, so list 1, Bob, was on $34 billion worth of products, went into effect in July of 2018.
Okay.
List 2 was on $16 billion worth of products, went into effect in August of 2018. List 3, which was the biggest of all the list, went into effect in September of 2018, and that was on over $200 billion worth of products from China.
Right.
And then list 4 at first was $300 billion, but ultimately was split up into list 4 and list 4A and list 4B, and only list 4A actually went into effect. And that started at 15%, I believe, and went down to 7.5% in 2019, and that's where those are right at the current time.
So 4B was never implemented.
Not at this time. Nope.
All right. So moving right along then, what happens now on behalf of those who are knocking on our door for help? This is where we start getting into what the USTR is. This is the exclusion process.
Right.
Okay. The process says essentially this. If you can prove on God's primarily blue earth that you can't get this product manufactured anywhere except China, we'll bless an exclusion for you.
Yeah.
That's where you really came into the picture and started an art form actually of writing these for the Commerce Department to approve or not.
Right.
You did pretty well.
Yeah, no, it was definitely, we put in a lot of hours, a lot of time putting together these exclusion requests, and they really were an art form, like you said. The USTR, they asked a lot of, different questions in the request, but in the exclusion, responses we were preparing. But I think when I look at it when I did it and look back at kind of how they were, approving the exclusions, 2 of the main areas that I think kind of one you touched on is, can you get this product from outside of China? Is it possible?
Right.
And some of the ways we did that with our clients were, they would get quotes from their China supplier on a product. Let's say the product was $5 per unit, and they were also getting the same type of quote from the Mexico supplier for $20 a unit. Although it's, feasible that you could theoretically get it from Mexico, in that case, it's not really available outside of China.
Right.
Another instance is there's import data we would look at where clients would tell us that it's not available outside of China, and there was import data that would back up that all of this specific product was only coming from China. So that kind of was, some of the arguments we used to show, that kind of prong during our responses.
Right.
I also think one of the things we really tried to focus on was being really specific with the product. If you look at how the USTR ended up drafting the exclusions when they came out, they were very product specific, and even more so than many drafters thought at the time. For instance, if you were bringing in a microwave and you put on the request, we can't get these microwaves from somewhere, can you give us an exclusion? Well, that's way too broad.
Right.
When the exclusion would actually come out, it would say a microwave by 12 inches by 24 by 13 depth, or something of that nature, or weight under 150 grams or something like that.
Well, yeah, all the parts and pieces, all the elements that go into the manufacturing that are taken into consideration, even with the classification.
Right. So I think that's where we really tried to focus on drafting here, and why our percentage of getting exclusion approvals was higher than the industry average, because we really wanted to be as specific as possible. And I think it showed when the exclusions came out, and we had a lot of success in that area.
We did. As a matter of fact, I think you were batting at about 700, and the rest of the country was at like 4.
Yeah.
Attaboy.
It was,
Big attaboy there.
It was a good season.
Well, so moving along then, where are we with the exclusions today? Kind of, where's that sit?
Yeah. So, I think obviously many importers at this point, really what they care about is, do they have to pay the tariff or not?
Right.
And the exclusions, ever since they came out for all the different lists, subsequent to that time frame, certain exclusions kept dropping off as time progressed, but certain ones would stay on. There would be new comment periods, new exclusion processes,
Right.
etc.
Right.
So back in March, the USTR came out with an additional, I believe, 500 or so exclusions that would be reinstated through December 2022. Those exclusions are, as of right now, they're still valid. We haven't heard, anything. People want to know what they should be doing. They've been importing products. It's been duty free, and then 3 months from now, they're going to have to pay 25%.
Yeah, I know.
So it's kind of tough. They're asking us for an advice, but the USTR really hasn't provided that much detail as to what importers should be doing. So one of the things we're recommending, which seems pretty obvious, but I know a couple years ago when some exclusions were falling off, clients weren't thinking of this, is if you can bring in a lot of products now versus waiting until after December, get your stock up, avoid the 25%. Anything after that time frame, we're not saying we know if the exclusions will be reinstated or not, but a safer approach might be to just bring in as much as possible while you still have the exclusion in play.
Right. All right. And this reminds me of something I think I wanted to just chat about briefly with you too. And this was unprecedented in the trade industry. It was back in July of 2021. Shout out to Aiken, Gump, Strauss, Howard, and Feld, back when they filed a lawsuit on this very thing, saying that the exclusion, not the exclusions, but the tariffs were illegal.
Right.
Yeah. And, I recall so vividly, really, that Adrian had come home that night and said, "Hey, have you heard about this that was filed with the CIT?" I said, "Yes, I have." So I had a piece I prepared. I sent it out, and then the brokers got a hold of it. About top 15 brokers across the U.S. passed that on to their clients, saying, hey, if you're interested in filing, these people can help. Remember, the floodgates just opened.
Right.
Now, at the time, we're like 5 days of nothing but 14-hour days, humping, because we thought that there was an actual deadline coming up. Everybody did at the time. That was based on a statute of limitations. That's not the case, we find. Now, I don't know where we are to date. There's 3,600 or 5,500 or somehow many.
I think 6,500 at this point.
6,500 cases now have been filed based on that template that this firm out of D.C. created for. 65. Right. Can a company still file?
So, yes, the answer to that's yes. As you just mentioned, there was some debate when the cases were filed. Everyone was scrambling. Like you said, 14 hours might be not as much justice, might have been longer than that, but everyone in the trade industry kind of who's involved knows that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was kind of some debate as to whether you had to have it filed by when the tariffs 2 years from when the tariffs went into effect, or was it 2 years from when you actually suffered an injury,
That's right.
so to speak, injury, yes. Meaning I just paid tariffs yesterday. Does that mean I have 2 years from that date, right? So there's a lot of different arguments out there, and the court hasn't necessarily ruled on that topic yet. So what we've been recommending for, companies who still reach out, and we are getting inquiries about it, on a monthly basis, can we still get in the lawsuit?
Right.
The answer is yes, you can.
Okay.
But we advise at least that they would have the understanding that in case when the court ultimately does rule, if the case is favorable, we'll have to wait to see how the court rules on this type of issue down the road. But a lot of it for companies who are on the fence still to this day about doing it, is the case going to be successful? Is there going to be some sort of bar? A lot of the companies that were submitting for had millions and millions and millions of dollars of potential refund availability, right? And it doesn't cost very much to get involved in the case. So,
well, not with us, not if we filed for it.
Yeah, not for you.
We were very fair.
Yeah, very fair. So, it's just something definitely considered from like a risk reward kind of thing. Couple $1,000 here and there versus like the potential millions down the road. Definitely could be worth it.
So like a lotto, if you don't play, you can't win.
Yeah. There's some good scratch offs.
Yeah, but we've kept everybody up to date within our system who actually filed with us. I just remembered that whole scenario was just it's amazing.
Yeah. We'll definitely follow up with everybody and keep, because it's a process. The court process, especially for something of this magnitude, isn't something that's getting decided overnight.
No.
It's something that there's motions going back and forth.
That's
I know recently, as in April, the court came back saying the USTR did have the authority to implement the tariffs, but also remanded it back to get more information about the actual comment process because they didn't adequately explain it. Then the USTR came back. Then the plaintiffs commented, still said they didn't provide enough information. It's just a back and forth, and even whatever is decided, it'll likely be appealed. So could easily see this going into 2023, 2024. We don't know, but it's something that we're staying really up to date on at the firm, and something we could definitely help out too if needed.
Yeah. All right. So if somebody wanted to get in on this, they could give us a call, and you're ready to go.
Give us a call.
All right. He's like Zeke Elliott, man. You feed me on these things.
Just keep feeding me.
Keep feeding me.
Absolutely, Bob.
That's great. And so what's your opinion on the landscape with China overall? I'm curious about what you think about that now.
Yeah, I think really what people want to know, it's tough because the USTR really hasn't been coming out with that much information lately. The exclusions are a big thing. We're in the process of the 4-year statutory review right now.
Yeah.
The USTR is looking at comments. The phase 1 comment period just closed, which essentially was domestic industries who supported the tariffs. They're going to be opening soon the phase 2 comment period, where essentially people can comment against the tariffs, generally speaking. But yeah, it doesn't look like we're getting necessarily any closer to resolution with China. As of now, I think we, kind of want to stay up to date with that. And we'll just kind of keep an eye on it. And we'll be obviously putting a lot of good information out on that when anything's available. But I think from the exclusion and 301 perspective, because that's probably everyone's main concern regarding this, is I would just, keep up to date on the USTR website. Anytime something comes out, about the tariffs, any notices, things like that, they always post it, right away. And we also, Bob's really good about, putting some blast out there so everyone in the trade world knows what's going on.
Yeah, that's my job. Hey, speaking of that, I promised you pickleball discussion. Now, I am so curious because I only did a little dabbling into this recently and found out, this is about to take off. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so when I'm not lawyering, I play professional pickleball. Okay. There's two pro tours, maybe almost 3. There's the PPA, the APP, and there's another tour kind of called the MLP. I kind of just play on all of them since I don't play. It's like most of the pro players will play a full schedule, 30, 35 tournaments. Okay. I work a full-time job, so...
Yes, you do.
But play 10 to 12 events. I have one this weekend on the tennis channel, playing pretty cool for me, playing with world number 2 on Friday and Saturday. So... if you don't have anything going on and you want to learn something about pickleball, watch it, get yourself an attorney who plays pickleball, golf.
Well, here's the thing. It looks like it's easy to get into. It's a cross between tennis, badminton, and ping pong. Now, it's a wiffle ball.
Right.
So people are like, what kind of ball is it? It's a plastic wiffle ball. So,
right.
I saw you guys play recently on some film that you played in a tournament, and you guys are standing at the net, just banging that stuff back and forth. And I thought, wow, you got to have quick reflexes.
Yeah, the game is more about, it's closer to, let's say, table tennis. The court's bigger, but it's about who has fast hands, because you're hitting the ball hard at people, right, and you need to be able to hit it hard back, and it kind of goes back and forth, and it's just about quick movements and hands. But yeah, it's just, a fun sport that I just picked up in the last 4 years, and it's really taking off. So it's been kind of fun. It's been tough balancing, obviously, working a full-time job and playing pro events.
But here, look, we're sponsoring you a little bit.
Yeah, no, Braun Miller Law Group. Check me out on Tennis Channel. I'll have my Braun Miller Law Group shirt on, so check us out.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, heck, with any luck, we'll have some footage on this one.
We'll be putting some footage out there. Okay. So, yeah, thanks.
Well,
Bob.
listen, I appreciate you stopping by and chatting with us on Section 301, Brandon.
Absolutely. Thanks for your time, too, Bob.
Sure, thanks.
Take care.
Relax. We've got you covered. Global trade compliance to us is just another day at the beach.